Dear students, I am Dr. Shamusri Maji, Assistant Professor in the Department of English at Durgapur Women's College. I welcome you to this audiovisual lecture. The lecture content is developed for the English Honours students of Durgapur Women's College. Today, we will discuss Act 4 and Act 5 of William Shakespeare's play, Twelfth Night. This lecture will draw your attention to the solution of the problem of mistaken identity, which, as I said in one of my previous lectures, is an important theme of this play. It will also add to your perception of Twelfth Night as a romantic comedy. My dear students, do you know what is romantic comedy? Romantic comedy deals with love, courtship, and marriage. In some cases, as in Twelfth Night, this type of comedy ends in multiple marriages. Romantic comedies are often described as comedies of wish fulfillment. Witty dialogues and powerful women characters are among the other important characteristics of romantic comedy. So we have completed Act 1, Act 2 and Act 3. I hope you remember what happened in Act 3. In Act 3, you have observed that Olivia is deceived by Viola's male attire and she proposes love to Cesario. We also see in that act that Antonio mistakes Viola for Sebastian. Antonio feels dejected when Viola, whom he mistakes for Sebastian, does not help him at the time of his crisis. I hope you remember that the Duke's officers had arrested Antonio when he interfered in the duel between Andragugic and Cesario. It was not only Antonio who was confused in that situation, but also was Viola. However, she was hopeful about meeting her brother once again when she heard Sebastian's name from Antonio. Also, you have seen that Olivia assumes that Malvolio is distracted and she asks Sir Toby to look after her steward. Sir Toby is elated at this opportunity and he calls his associates to imprison Malvolio in the dark room where they will humiliate and harass him. The themes of disguise and mistaken identity feature in the subplot as well. In Act 4, Scene 2, the clown disguises as Sir Topas, a curate, and interacts with Malvolio in the dark room. I will read a little bit from that scene. So the clown has dressed up as the curate and he says aloud, "Peace in this prison." Sir Toby says from behind, "The knave counterfeits well, a good knave." Malvolio from within says, "Who calls there?" Remember, it is the dark room. That's why Malvolio cannot see who has come to meet him. "Who calls there?" Malvolio asks. The clown says, "Sir Topas, the curate who comes to visit Malvolio the lunatic." "Sir Topas? Sir Topas, good Sir Topas? Go to my lady." The clown says, "Out, hyperbolical fiend! How vexest thou this man? Talkest thou nothing but of ladies?" Sir Toby praises the clown from behind. "Well said, Master Parson," says Sir Toby. And Malvolio, who doesn't know anything about it, Malvolio says, "Sir Topas, never was man thus wronged. Good Sir Topas, Do not think I am mad. They have laid me here in this hideous darkness. And the clown says, Fine, thou dishonest Satan. So what happens, my dear students, in this scene? Time and again, Malvolio tries to convince the curate that he is not mad. But Sir Topas, who is nobody other than the clown, rejects the pleadings of Malvolio and says that his soul has been possessed by Satan. Darkness helps the clown. You know the name of the clown? His name is Festi. So darkness helps Festi to deceive Malvolio. He switches his roles from the curate to the clown and the vice versa by changing his voice. Finally, the clown agrees to bring paper, ink and candle to Malvolio so that he can write a letter to Olivia informing her about his miserable condition in the dark room. As far as the main plot is concerned, the theme of mistaken identity reaches its peak in Act 4. The clown tells Sebastian that, quote, Nor your name is not Master Cesario, nor this is not my nose neither. Nothing that is so, unquote. My dear students, you can find this line in Act 4, Scene 1. Like the clown, Sir Andrew Aguecheek and Sir Toby also mistake Sebastian for Cesario, the Duke's messenger. Sir Andrew Aguecheek strikes him in order to win the duel. You remember that a duel was going on between Aguecheek and Cesario. Yeah. And the duel was planned specially by Sir Toby and Fabian. They had instigated Aguecheek to fight a duel with Cesario. And Aguecheek had agreed because he was jealous. He was jealous because Olivia was interested in Cesario and Olivia was not paying attention to him. So Andrew Aguecheek strikes at Sebastian, but they are alarmed when Sebastian beats him back. Sir Toby comes to his friend's aid, but he is interrupted by Olivia, who admonishes him and asks him to leave immediately. She apologizes to Sebastian and takes him to her house. Unlike Viola, Sebastian accepts the lady's love. Although such an acceptance seems abrupt, Sebastian justifies his encounter with Olivia as a dream. Olivia does not know that he is Sebastian. Without knowing his real identity, she marries him in the presence of a priest. My dear students, you can see or you can find in Act 4, Scene 3 that Olivia tells Sebastian that they will get married and she wants to get married quickly, and a priest is waiting for them. So although it's not shown on the stage, but the readers and the audience, they come to know that Olivia and Sebastian will get married. In Act 4, Sebastian gains prominence as a character. In this act and in Act 5, we observe that with his entry, the norms of masculinity and heterosexuality, which were suspended for some time with Viola's cross-dressing, are re-established to bring a happy ending to this play. It also suggests that festive occasions or festivals which allow people to subvert the social customs of everyday life are temporary. In Act 5, you can observe, dear students, that the confusions of mistaken identity are finally resolved when Viola and Sebastian meet one another face to face. Before his entry, almost all the characters, whether it is Antonio or it is Olivia, whether it is Toby or it is Andrew, whether it is the Duke or Malvolio, all these characters are under an illusion due to their individual encounters with Viola and Sebastian. Antonio is under the illusion that Sebastian did not come forward to help him from getting arrested. He thinks that Sebastian did not pay the amount needed for his release, although his purse was with Sebastian. Andrew and Toby are under the illusion that they have been beaten up by Cesario. Olivia thinks that she has married Cesario, the page boy of the Duke. Malvolio is under the illusion that he has been deceived by Olivia and he accuses her of doing great wrong to him by writing a love letter. Viola is perplexed when Antonio accuses her of ingratitude. She is taken aback when Olivia addresses her as husband, and she is at a loss when the Duke threatens to kill her for usurping his ladylove. Although Viola expresses her amorous feelings towards the Duke in disguise, my dear students, you should notice that it is only after Sebastian's intervention that her wishes, or rather her wish of becoming the Duke's wife, can find a way towards its fulfillment. I repeat once again that although Viola expresses her amorous feelings towards the Duke in disguise as a page boy, it is only after Sebastian's intervention or after Sebastian's entry into the scene that her wish of becoming the Duke's wife can find a way towards its fulfillment. She tells the Duke that her maiden's clothes are with the captain of the ship who had saved her life. When she informs the Duke that the captain had been engaged in a lawsuit by Malvolio, just then Fabian and the clown enter with a letter from the imprisoned Malvolio. Please refer to the text. Please refer to Act 5, Scene 1. Act 5 has only one scene. So in this scene you can see Fabian reads out the letter of Malvolio. What was written in this letter? I read, "By the Lord, madam, you wrong me, and the world shall know it. Though you have put me into darkness and given your drunken cousin rule over me, yet I have the benefit of my senses as well as your ladyship. I have your own letter that induced me to the semblance I put on, with the which I doubt not but to do myself much right or you much shame. Think of me as you please. I leave my duty a little unthought of and speak out of my injury." And he signs at the end of the letter. At the end of the letter, he puts his signature as the madly used Malvolio. So what happens after this? Malvolio is brought to the Duke's place, and there he tells everybody of the letter wherein it was mentioned that he should wear yellow stockings and cross-gartered in order to exhibit his love for Olivia. He shows that letter to Olivia. On examining the letter, Olivia confirms that it is Maria's handwriting. At that time, it's revealed to all that who is behind this confusion, who is behind Malvolio's misfortune. At that time, what happens? Fabian comes forward. Fabian comes forward to explain the matter to all. Again, I will ask you to refer to the text towards the end of the play. There's a dialogue. There's a dialogue of Fabian. Please refer to this dialogue, and I'll also read from it. Fabian says, "Good madam, hear me speak, and let no quarrel nor no brawl to come taint the condition of this present hour, which I have wondered at, in hope it shall not. Most freely I confess, myself and Toby set this device against Malvolio here, upon some stubborn and uncourteous parts we had conceived against him. Maria writ the letter at Sir Toby's great importance, in recompense whereof he hath married her." So Fabian tells this to everybody, and please note one thing. It is clear that Fabian tries to save Maria when he says, quote, "Maria writ the letter at Sir Toby's great importance, in recompense whereof he hath married her," unquote. Thus all confusions are sorted at the end. Through Fabian, the readers are informed that Sir Toby has married Maria. Olivia is already married to Sebastian. Orsino pledges to marry Viola soon. So this romantic comedy ends with the news of multiple marriages. Marriage symbolizes harmony. Marriage, it's an important characteristic. It's an important feature of Shakespearean comedy. Why? Because marriage symbolizes harmony. It suggests union of two people which will lead to the birth of progeny. In the extended sense, it implies peace and the progress of human race. The witty dialogues of the clown and Viola not only amuse us, but also critique the peculiarities in human nature. Orsino's love sickness, which reminds us of the lover in poetry modeled on the Petrarchan tradition, is reviewed from an angle of comic satire. In this respect, Twelfth Night follows the convention of classical comedy to some extent. The depiction of various forms of courtship makes the narrative structure of this play not only different from the classical comedy, but also unique as a dramatic genre. Malvolio is the only character whose wishes to marry a countess and to rise above his present social position are thwarted in this comedy. It is true that he is madly used by some of the characters in this play. Like Shylock in The Merchant of Venice, he remains unhappy at the end. Perhaps through the character of Malvolio, Shakespeare conveys the message to us that everybody may not succeed in his or her pursuit in love, or in or her pursuit of love. I repeat, my dear students, perhaps through the character of Malvolio, Shakespeare conveys the message to us that everybody may not succeed in his or her pursuit of love. The ending of this play shows us that although romantic comedy is about wish fulfillment, it is not mandatory. Rather, it is not possible that everybody's wish will be fulfilled in this world. Although the romantic comedies of Shakespeare deal with romantic love, festive spirit, and imagination, the deprivation or the dissatisfaction of a character at the end adds a realistic note to his comedies. So that is all for today, my dear students. Thank you so much for listening to me. Good night.